Welcome. You are listening to The Travel Winds, hosted by Pete Kotzbach. This is a weekly interview show about people who travel for work and all the ups and downs that go along with it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Travel Winds podcast. Today, my guest is Adele. How are you today, Autumn?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
You're a repeat customer, as I like to call it.
This is familiar.
Yeah. And but you have one great addition now. Not only you're an author and model, and we can mention your day job, but you're also the host of the Pretty Badass podcast.
Yes, so I've gone from pretty depressed to pretty badass. Yeah, I'm really excited. Just launched my 6th episode.
Yeah.
I am, and I was inspired by you. I told you that it was a lot of fun, and I love connecting with people. And so I know that you've been, making big strides in the podcast world. And
I like the reality is, Autumn's like, if this guy could do it, I could do it. You're like,
that's not true. That's not true. No, actually, I didn't even think I could do it. I was like, well,
I know I had to talk you off the cliff a few times.
Well, I think for me, it was, and I will say it is a little easier than writing a book because I wrote Pretty Depressed, and then I wanted to write Pretty Badass. But there were a lot of things that were keeping me from doing that, like mentally. I just felt blocked. I couldn't write about being pretty badass because I didn't feel that at the time. So then I just got inspired to do the podcast, which then I was able to kind of just look at it from a perspective of, okay, let's talk to people that inspire you. What is being pretty badass? It's being authentic. And so let's just start being pretty badass and like
have some good conversations.
Yeah, fake it till you make it kind of thing. And so that's basically where I am. So it was a process of just jump and see what happens. And so as long as it's fun, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so it has been. So
I always tell people the same thing. It's like, as soon as this doesn't become fun anymore, I don't need to do it anymore.
How many episodes have you done?
240.
No way.
241 or 2. Yeah.
Wow.
Coming up on 5 years.
And I've just done 6.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't remember who my 6 was.
Yeah, you'll have to look back.
I have to look it up.
I mean, so 5 years you've done. Wow. I need to start, but I am juggling a lot of things. And so I feel like they are aligned though, because I am actually writing a new book.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Called Pretty Badass?
No, I am putting that one on pause right now, but I'm not going to say the name of it, but it is about Paris. So
Makes sense.
A little travel book about Paris, and it should be a lot of fun. So
what has kept you going? The bigger picture of things. Yeah. Because you've gone through some things.
Mentally, what's been keeping me going lately is just after I got over that hump, and as far as literally going from being suicidal to thriving,
right?
Watching myself grow, building trust in myself. And every time I do something that I thought I couldn't do, I get more confidence in myself.
There you
go. It's really incredible to look back because I don't really recognize the old version of me. And, I'm 40 now. And so I feel like, I'll be actually 41 in June. And so I feel like I am just starting over fresh, and I have like the second half of my life to live.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that is attributed to the IV ketamine treatments that I did. They really show that it starts to repair the neural pathways and create new neural pathways. repairing those receptors, and you start to see life from a different perspective. And so all those traumas that happened to me, they still happen to me, but I'm able to look at them from a different point of view. And
Yeah.
so I have a really positive outlook on life. Like today I woke up and, all the rain and, just my front yard area is like, it was
Yeah.
kind of a mess. And I was like, man, I really need to just like pick up these like old planters and do all this stuff. And I just started kind of cleaning up. And then as I was walking around, I started looking at everything that I have. And I just was purposefully, but it came naturally to me too, to say, wow, like, look at this beautiful thing that I have, or look at this thing I've created. And,
Yeah.
um, I never had that before. I say this about my treatments, that the IV ketamine treatments gave me the power to choose to have a better, happier, healthy life. And so, it's, people get caught up in saying, well, if you want to be happy, you can be happy. Well, that wasn't the case for me before, but now it is. And I love having the power to say, well, I'm going to be happy about my life no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's such a gift to be able to do that now.
What's obviously ketamine has had a bad rap and
Mm-hmm.
used incorrectly. Obviously, it's a can be an animal tranquilizer.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
how do,
that's where
how do you get
everybody,
around that
yeah, that's
with
where
other
everybody
people?
heads go first. When I talk about something that saved my life, I'm really passionate about what it's done for me and the potential of what it can do for other people. And so I'll often get two responses. Oh yeah, like that's a street drug, or that's a horse tranquilizer.
Yeah.
Or I get the, oh, I love ketamine. So cool. And I'm like, no. like I'm like, both of you are actually making my life so
Harder.
difficult. I'm
Yeah.
trying to advocate for this. So what I tell people is, first of all, it started as a dissociative anesthetic in Vietnam. And so they were using that to help transport when they were also doing amputations. That was what they were using. The reason why it has an association with animal tranquilizers or horse tranquilizers is because they use it for pregnant women, but they also use it for horses, because horses are very sensitive. Like if you've ever learned about horses and how they can really pick up on energies,
Oh,
they are very sensitive animals, and so it's an anesthesia that they use for more sensitive types. Um, they don't, as far as the drug goes, it's not an addictive type of drug. And so I did a podcast. Actually, I interviewed my IV ketamine
yeah.
doctor, and that was really incredible, even though I have a close relationship with him anyway. But it was nice to be able to talk to him more on a clinical level.
What's
And
it,
so,
what's his name so people can look up your episode?
yeah, it's Dr. Stephen Mendel, and they are the ketamine clinics of Los Angeles. And his son Sam joined us, and he's the CEO. And so he's been doing a lot of work for marketing, and just kind of, his father's a bit older. He's been doing this for 25 years. And specifically, I think they opened their clinic in 2015. And I mean, it works for 70% of people. And
Right.
how I really like to kind of explain is like, I show like my brain, and I say like, I had PTSD and depression and anxiety, and even my entire family, I would say, almost suffers. And so I had this one train of thought of like, everyone's always going to leave me. I'm always going to get hurt. Something bad is going to happen. And I just kept looping that thought and was on this hamster wheel, even though I was perceived as a very happy go lucky, successful person on the outside. My inner like voice was constant. I was fighting
Yeah.
every single day to be the person that everyone thought I should be, what I thought I should be. And I was doing a pretty damn good job of it, but it was killing me
It
on
was
the end.
still there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was there. And the louder the voice got, the harder it was for me to keep, pretending that I had this pretty life. And so when I started the treatments back in 2017, I was really bad off. But as I continued the treatments and also therapy, and at the time I was still on serotonin, SSRI medication, antidepressants, which it's interesting. I wrote in my book that one day I hope that maybe I won't have to take this. I think it's been almost 2 years now that I haven't taken any antidepressants. And that's not to say that if someone is taking them, that
Yeah.
it's not good, because of course it kept me alive for decades. But I do know now that after doing the treatments, it sort of floured my brain, where it was like that one thought was continuing, but then it would be like, well, maybe something else could happen, but probably not. And then there was another, neural pathway created and carved out, and then that one was like, yeah, but maybe this could happen. And then the other one's like, well, absolutely we can do this, until it's literally like my brain has like a rose, like it just has so many different variations of thoughts. And I'm just really optimistic about life. And,
Awesome.
as my doctor said, he's like, not everyone is going to have the autumn experience, but there is so much potential. And so we discussed that not waiting until you're at death's door. Maybe if you're just suffering just a little bit, or just to have a consultation and just see if it works for everyone. But so I'm still very passionate about promoting that,
Mm-hmm.
just because I know what it did for me.
Right.
But there are definitely, you know, I think it's once you, like I said, once you get to that point where you can choose a happier, healthier life, then you can use your tools and resources to kind of bump you up. And so I don't do the IV ketamine treatments anymore. I don't feel like I need them.
But
Um,
they're there, and that's got to
yep.
be a little comforting in the back.
I know that they're there.
Yeah.
And now the things that work for me are, exercise, cognitive therapy, surrounding myself with good people, eliminating things in my life that I know don't make me happy. Um, I also got certified as an empowerment coach. And so that's been really great, because I can apply these things that I would, share with a client to myself. And so one of the biggest things for me is like every single thing that I do, whether it's podcasting, whether it's a friend, a date, a food that I'm eating, or my job, if it's not making me happy, and I ask myself after every interaction, like, say I go and have a coffee date with someone, and then I'll ask myself, how did that feel? Did that feel good, or did that feel bad? And that's before I text a friend to say, oh, I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
this. It's really learning to trust my own instincts. And from that, I feel like that's what's really keeping me going. And just, it feels really good to like yourself and to trust
Yeah.
but maybe that's, being 40. I'm
No,
like,
no,
oh, I'm
I
like,
didn't have
ooh.
that in my yeah, I'm in my 50s, and they've been the best times for me. And it's
Good.
weird when I tell my daughters that, and I'm like,
That's something to look forward to.
yeah, and I'm like, well, I started the podcast when I was 51,
Okay.
50. I mean, so I think to a certain extent, anytime you give up trying to learn something new, like you're like, oh, I'm too old to do that. All right. That's
Hmm.
when you kind of get sedentary.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you don't feel like you can do that. But now, because if I can roller skate at 50, then I could do this. And if I could do a podcast, then I could do this. And, it keeps your brain thinking you can do things versus the exact opposite.
Yeah, if you're not learning, you're not living.
Yeah.
It's for me, I I mean that really is why I love doing the podcast. I love talking to people and learning about their life and what inspires them, and that's probably why I've always been attracted to, going to France or
Yeah.
going to other countries. I love absorbing, even if it's something that I wouldn't apply to my own life. I love religion. I love culture. It's just, I feed off of it. And I feel like there's this, something ignites inside me. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the worst thing that you could do is settle in your life, and just continue doing the same thing just because it feels safe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
it's scary to try something new, but it's that adrenaline. It's that, maybe that's how you get those butterflies again. It's like you don't have to change
Yeah.
partners. Maybe you
No.
just do something new in your life. And um, I think that maybe if people actually applied that to their life prior to getting uneasy in their relationships, and then, say, oh, this isn't working for me, like I'm bored. Well, maybe you're just bored with yourself,
Yeah.
you know? So,
It's interesting because I mean, I love the fact that you started the podcast. I mean, how much I was going to ask you, how much do you think being around the better, not better, but just the right people affects your day to day?
it's everything.
I think it's huge.
I mean, really, it's everything. I've noticed a shift in my own attitude towards life, just the way that I treat other people.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're around people, and even if it's your family, creating boundaries.
Yeah.
It's You have to, if something just doesn't feel right with you, and you notice that they're negative, or they're maybe judgmental about other people, and it, even if it's wrong, it still affects you and the way that maybe you act when you're with that person, or you
Yeah.
might really start to adopt those things regardless if you're trying to or not. So being with happy people, go-getters, um, I mean, I still have people in my life that need help. And because that's what my passion is, obviously, is helping people. So I can't just surround myself with happy, positive, healthy people. But I am finding a balance in how I interact with those people. And so I hold space for them, but where I spend most of my time, it's, with myself, or um, just in small doses with people that I feel are aligned with what it is that I'm doing and what I want to do in my life.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
You,
I,
you
oh, go
go ahead.
ahead.
Oh, no, go
I
ahead.
was going to say that one of my clients for my empowerment coaching um, ended up turning into a business partner. So I have a new venture that I'm doing
Uh-oh.
in the wellness world. So everything is aligned. It's
Yeah. Perfect.
the book, and um, uh, was, it's mental health, and the podcast, it's mental health, inspiration, and so the wellness. So I am doing a wellness, mostly, I'll just give a little bit away, but it's a gummy vitamin. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and it's so this is the only uh, the 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 only little secret that I'll give away, but I'll just say it's everything. So if that's all, the gummies, it's everything. So I'm really excited about that. And and that just shows that I met this person on the street. They were very kind. I um, they live near me, and so I would see them often. And then finally, I I forget, we were talking about something mental health. And then I mentioned, oh, yeah, I actually um, just got certified for my empowerment coaching, or they saw it on Instagram or something. And then they were like, oh, I would actually love to do that. I used to have an empowerment coach. I
How's
used to,
that?
talk to them for 30 minutes once a week and just kind of bounce ideas off. And I was like, oh, that would be great. And so just through kindness and connecting with people, I met a client. And then now I have a
That
part
leads into
where I'm going to be doing something that I'm really excited about. It's like when being 40, and I think it will be for everyone, but there's definitely things like changing as I am 40. And I'm sure, it's like now in your
been there,
50s,
done that.
it's like, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's try to tackle all this stuff. So I thought, why not do something that's for my it's sort of a brain, body, beauty, just all around wellness.
Well,
So
I think you're at the right, and you're kind of going after the right age group, right? Because it's kind of like writing a book for common sense. The people that need it won't read it because they don't have the common sense to read it.
yeah.
I think the people, I mean, I think people under the 30, you're kind of just trying to figure out everything.
Mm-hmm.
30s, you think you kind of got it. Some people think they have it more than others. But in the 40s, you kind of go, okay, I don't have it figured out. Maybe I'll go get help. Maybe I'll start exercising. Maybe I'll start eating better.
Yeah.
Start doing the self-improvement stuff that I didn't need to do in my 20s. Like
Or it wasn't showing up
diet
as,
wise, I could tell you, man,
yeah, like
wait till you hit your 50s.
you didn't notice all
Yeah.
this stuff, or you were able to hide it more, your mental,
Yeah.
physical, like
Oh, you go
whatever.
out and go drinking. So you'd kind of forget about the shitty week that you had, that you're not happy about what you're doing with your career because you went out and got drunk with your friends all on the weekend.
Yeah, in your 40s, I think things really start to surface, and it's like
Oh, just wait.
you can't run from it. I feel like I was like, whoa, it's true what they say. I'm like, it is. All the things are happening, but it's offset with, like you said, these are the best times of your life in
By
your
far.
so maybe, things are a little harder in some ways, but they're easier in others. So it's all about balance. You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
I do feel like my whole outlook on life right now is like you can have it all. So we'll see how far I can take that.
I've told a lot of people that 2023 has been the year of yes for me.
Good. I
Like I'm
like
saying yes to things that I would typically say no to. And because of that, I go to the Super Bowl, or I get to go to these things because I go, yeah, I'll do it.
I mean, why would you say no to go in the Super Bowl though?
Well, because for one, it was to be on Radio Row. So I think it wasn't about the game. It was about interviewing. Right. So,
Mhm.
and my negative thoughts kind of came true in some ways, because all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's Sirius XM, that's CBS Radio, that's Westwood One, that's Sports Illustrated, that's TikTok, that's DraftKings. I mean, it was like all the big, and like, oh, I'm just walking around,
So
So
you didn't feel like did you have like imposter syndrome or something or?
no, it wasn't an imposter. It was literally like I don't belong. I mean, it was like, I mean, people. I
Yeah.
talked to some people that they had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on these mobile studios and red cameras and audio equipment, lighting, and this and that. And I'm walking around like, wow, okay,
But you have to start somewhere. Had you not gone, you wouldn't know what, like, if you ever want to do it in the future, now you know what you need to have.
yeah,
And
yeah. Well, absolutely. I'm stoked that I went. I got
yeah,
several people that'll be guests on the show coming up because of the people I met there.
see,
So, and some
good.
are
So
actual.
you did belong there. You did.
Absolutely, but it was kind of like in my head, I made it much worse.
Yeah.
Going, I got to take time
Yeah.
off of work, and I got to drive all the way there and spend gas and money and food and this and that. Instead, I went, yes, I'll go. Let's do it.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's something that I've adopted too, and it's similar. The Mel Robbins, how she's like the 5 4 3 2 1.
yeah,
It's like, just go. Yep. Okay, go.
yeah.
But there's obviously a fine line of,
Well,
little
yeah, if it's gonna be
mistakes,
detrimental to your body,
or it's like saying, I also, because people probably say, oh, you're contradicting, because sometimes I'll say, well, if you don't want to do something, don't do it, so, but that's where trusting yourself really
Yeah.
comes into play. It's saying, do I not want to do this because you are going to go to a party and there's just going to be a bunch of drunk people there, and you just don't feel like doing it and you don't feel
Right.
comfortable? That you don't have to say yes to that. But if it's an opportunity that the reason you're saying no is because you're feeling doubtful or that you don't believe in yourself, that's when you should be saying yes, like challenge yourself kind of
And
things.
that's more of it. It's like I got invited to a birthday party, and I would typically have said no because I'm like, well, I don't know anybody except for that person. That person's going to be busy all night. So I would typically say no. But I said yes, and I went and met some really cool people and got some new friends. And
I saw you posted about that, and I was actually,
yeah,
that made me smile that you went, because I could see myself doing that and be like, oh, I don't want to go because I'll be by myself. But
yeah,
it made me smile to see that, like, that you had that experience.
yeah. So I that's what I've learned by doing the show and being around positive people and saying yes to things. So
Well, I know that, well, because we ran into a few people when we went to the premiere for
mhm.
the, what was the name of the movie again?
uh, surf.
It's okay. It was a great documentary.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna look it up.
lady,
Paul Tobley was the director.
yeah, it was like they did such a good job bridging the parallels of surfing and the mental state that you have to be in, and overcoming these big giant waves in the ocean. And then feeling that same uh feeling in life. It's like the big huge waves in life, you're tackling
Yeah,
those, you have to keep going for them. And yeah, that was my favorite part. I mean, but we ran into several people that you knew from the podcast there.
yeah.
And so that was really cool to see that, you've maintained these relationships outside of the podcast.
Well,
And, and
and
that's
like
how you guys,
you met Kanya
uh-huh.
on her
Yeah.
skateboard,
Yeah.
and then even like Paul. The movie is Groundswell.
Oh, groundswell.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Paul Tobley was the director and all that, and he's going to be on the show coming up.
Oh, he hasn't. Okay. You haven't done his yet.
Not
Okay.
yet, yeah. And then Tori, the surfer, one of the surfers
Mhm.
in it, and sitting next to Bianca the whole time, not knowing she was going to be in the movie.
Yeah, that was such a cool experience. But
Yeah.
um so I mean, that's just another reason to do podcasting. It's like you get to meet really cool
Oh
people,
yeah.
and it's just learning about their stories. It's, yeah.
And then getting a platform to be able to share it. I think
Yeah.
that's it's kind of it's always been cool meeting new people, but now I get to put it on record it and put it out
I
and
guess I kind of have imposter syndrome when it comes to that. Like, I've only done 6, and so when I ask people, I've actually had people ask me, "Can I be on your podcast?" And I was like, "Oh." I was
oh yeah.
like,
Wait
I'm
till you
like,
say no to some of them.
That's cool.
People
And
I remember having to like stressing like, oh my God, who's going to be on the show? Now I'm like, yeah, I don't know that you fit. It's a business travel show and you don't travel.
yeah, I don't know if I want to get to that point. What do I say? Oh, I don't think you're badass.
Or pretty. Um,
You're pretty badass. I'm
you're
sorry.
pretty, but you're not badass. So
You don't fit. You don't
yeah,
fit.
yeah,
No, I mean, the diversity on my podcast has been kind of crazy.
yeah,
So I had my friend Marie, which she's great. I should recommend her. Maybe she does traveling. Obviously, she's a musician, but she lent me her music for my
yeah.
intro and outro, and that was really fun because the song also inspired me to just kind of be like, wait a minute, and it talks about waves I'm riding, and so
There you
uh,
go.
so she was on there, and she's a singer that sings in French, Spanish, and English, and then she also does like Afro beats and different things, and
Oh,
so she's really talented. But then I had 2 Christian singers trying to make it in Los Angeles. I had an adult film star I had a founder of a LGBTQ. I have a reality star. I had my IV ketamine doctor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so far it's been just really,
Pretty badass.
yeah, pretty badass. And that was the thing. All, um, they're all badass in their own way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, maybe it contradicts to have Christians and then porn
Oh no,
stars.
well, my show's about business travel, right? But I've had conservative, I mean, hardcore conservatives that are in the press for being conservative. And then I've had liberals, I've had gay people, I mean, just everything. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's the beauty of the show.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not
I was
pigeonholed.
trying to find a way to like say, because obviously it's everyone has their own badass, you know, a level of badassism. And so for me, it's all about just being authentic. And so if you are a porn star that wants to be a Christian, that's that you know, it's like that you feel guilty about the profession that you're in, well, then that's not very badass.
Right.
But if you are in the adult industry and you just really love it and that's what you stand by, it was easy for me to have Spencer on my podcast because I already knew that about her.
Yeah.
Um, but there are different people that are in the industry or doing different, you know, say OnlyFans just for the money, and they feel guilty about it,
Yeah.
but they're doing it just for the money. That wouldn't be pretty badass to me, and so I wouldn't be able to have them on my show because it just wouldn't align with the way that I think. So as
Well, that's
long,
the beauty of it. It's your show. You get to
yeah,
decide.
so as long as you feel confident about what you're doing and you love what you're doing, then to me, then I feel like that would make a great guest.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the girl you had on, she was actually really open about it. She was cool.
she is. So
Yeah,
she and I were
she's
roommates.
badass.
Yeah, we were roommates for a long time, so that was interesting. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
some crazy memories.
Oh,
Just
well, eh, do you think? Because you've traveled to Paris and
Mhm.
France, I should say,
Yeah.
recently. Do you find as easy to connect with people when you travel, or is it less connection?
You know, I think it's I think it comes from you as a person. So often people will say, oh, well, people in France are rude or they don't like
Right.
Americans. And, you know, it's like I hear that from a lot of people. And I don't get that from them because I
You
respect
don't
the
come off that
culture
way.
so much. And so it's a matter of when you walk into a store there, you greet them. And when you leave, you say goodbye. And so, or if you're ordering a croissant, like there's this really cute Instagram where these two guys, they talk about all the I guess like the adversities and like struggles that people have while they're traveling to France or trying to learn the language.
Okay.
I saw one the other day and it was like they were trying to order a croissant and the guy walks in, he's like, un croissant. And like and he's like in the French, like, you know, the bakery, like he was like and he was like the magic word,
Yeah.
and he's like s'il te plaît, and so it was like un croissant s'il vous plaît. So it's a matter of like knowing, I'd like a croissant please, and just,
Yeah.
you know. So the reason I even mentioned this is because when I was traveling, I went to the south of France. Normally after a breakup I go to Paris. i I did that after my breakup,
Yeah.
but that was back in October. Um, and it didn't quite work because my ex was French, and the
Yeah.
last time I was in Paris was with him. And so I thought, oh my gosh, okay. So I needed a redo. So then I
Gotcha.
went to the south of France. So I went to Nice and stayed. I went to Nice, Monaco, and Ez, and I stayed in this little town called Villefranche, and there was another town, Boulier, I think, Boulier, but they had this little cafe that I went to every single day. And the owner ended up just being so sweet. They followed me on social media.
There you go.
The host of my Airbnb, he and I became friends. And so it's just like, I feel like if you want to meet people, you just have to be warm and open to it. Um, I feel like the connections that I have that I meet when I'm traveling, they're lasting.
Yeah,
Uh, Maybe I meet someone at a
I agree with
cafe
that.
in LA and we have a great conversation, but it usually doesn't go anywhere. It's like, oh yeah, let's hang out. What can you do for me? Kind of thing. Or maybe it's just a fleeting conversation that you have that, maybe you learn something cool, but they're not lasting. I feel
Yeah.
like the relationships that I have made while traveling, they end up being lifelong friends and, just really cool things. Or we will meet up and travel somewhere, where it's like, oh, like
Yeah.
you kind of have this familiar like feeling, so you're like, well, I don't want to travel by myself right now, or I'm traveling for work. So I just became a member at Soho House, and my goal is to
Nice.
like go around and try out all the new like Soho House hotels. So I booked
There you
I
go.
will I'll be going to Paris and staying in the Soho House in May. And I'm trying to find, well, I'm not trying. This is my new language. I am planning and working on promoting my Paris book and
There you
doing
go.
an event at the Soho House in Paris, and doing one here to promote Pretty Depressed to Pretty Badass. And so, yeah, so it's, uh, I feel like I can't wait to get to Paris. And, it's like, and also just joining these membership kind of clubs and then being able to travel to these places, because
Yeah.
you almost feel like there's already a common ground there. So I feel like I'm going to meet a lot of great people through this. And I think I've been a member for like a month now. I went to a women's group yesterday.
Nice.
And just, yeah, it's like, I feel like I can't wait to just start kind of just moving around a little bit more. I think we've
When do
all
you think you're going to do your TEDx talk?
oh man, it's in the works.
I figured.
I think the podcast is giving me some experience
Yeah.
in
Well, I knew
speaking.
you were nervous. We had talked, about you're nervous about just being on air and doing all that. And,
I get nervous just doing this,
and
like
you're a rock star, so I
even
mean,
though I
you're
know
fine.
you, even though I'm just sitting here like comfortably and talking about myself, which should just be easy.
Yeah.
Um, it is hard. I actually spoke up yesterday at the International Women's Group and I used that as like a training tool for myself,
Sure.
because I it's different when you're speaking about something else. Like if you're speaking about, well, maybe not even. I was going to say like the IV ketamine. I think where I get hung up is that I my entire life, I have been very conscious of my appearance, and that's where the pretty life came into play. And it's not just a physical, although I have put a lot of pressure on myself physically. If I gained 5 pounds, like even like this week, I got on the scale and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, this is crazy. I've gained 10 pounds in 2 months. Like, how did this happen? Like no one else is probably going to notice it.
At all.
And
Yeah.
I also, I'm like, no one's going to notice when you're on just in the box here. Like, so just chill. But I get so hard on myself about my physical appearance. And then I I'm sharing my story, and people have a negative, or can have a negative response to the IV ketamine. They might have a negative response, like, for instance, at the meeting yesterday, people gave me a round of applause for what I said. And it was a great moment. And I felt proud of myself. But then I had like people wanted to follow me on social media afterwards. And, there was some fear that set in, because of the diversity in the group of age, profession.
Right.
They might look and say, she was in Playboy before, or or just, or I just feel this fear of judgment. And
Yeah.
like, because I can present myself very professionally because I have a professional
Because you
job.
are. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I have a life, I have a story. And even when I'll meet people and they say, oh my God, I want to read your book, I immediately go,
Uh-oh.
but I'm like, but there's private stuff in there. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, Autumn, like, you're gonna have to just get over that. And that's what makes my story.
But I think for you, you need to realize that you're going to help more people than there are people that are going to say stupid shit about.
That's true.
By
And
far.
that's what keeps me going, is that, there's nothing more. In fact, the host yesterday said, there's nothing more important than what your message is about. You want to save people's lives. And now I didn't tell her, she didn't, I could have said, yeah, but, I've done this and I've done that and I've done that. And that might make people judge me. She doesn't know that yet, but it is true.
See,
There,
you and I have talked about this before, and maybe it's just me and I'm naive. I don't know. I don't think that the fact that you are a model, I don't think people, maybe, I don't know. I don't
I
see that
think if
being
you
such a
can
big,
Google someone and you can find naked photos of them, I think it's like, yeah. So,
really? I don't
yeah.
think so.
I
But
mean, maybe not anymore because, like, I feel bad sometimes because I do, and I speak about this on my podcasts. I have a line of where my moral compass takes me. And
yeah,
so, and that I won't cross. So for me, OnlyFans is too much for me, you know. For me, porn would be too much, but it wasn't too much to do Playboy. I felt like, the history of Playboy and, what, at least what it used to be. I just felt like it was this beautiful publication of
yeah.
women that were expressing themselves. And, um, I don't have a problem with nudity. Like, if I
Do you
were
think people, I guess do you think people looked at Marilyn Monroe differently after she did the cover of Playboy?
yeah,
Really?
yeah. I mean, she was fighting that with women, of jealousy and
Oh,
judgment.
well,
her her
yeah.
and being taken. I mean, really, if you watch all these movies that are coming out, men just took advantage of her, and they just thought she was an object. And so I definitely put myself in that box at one point. Now I don't feel that way. um I think that you can have it all. It's like, uh i put on my I put on my Instagram, um that I think it was a clip, and it said, can you be a child of God and still, pose naked, or make these, or have a certain lifestyle? And the girls that were on the show, they were very kind, and they were like, God loves everyone. And, of course you can. Well, I knew that it would kind of drum up a little attention. And so there were a few people that made some comments. And one in particular was like, oh, what is this? Hoochies for Jesus. And then he was saying, um, someone else had made a comment like that there's no way that you can, be naked in a publication and still be loved by God. And, Someone else that was actually very nice, he said after, he's like, and I actually responded to him. He was like, I hope you don't mind, but I'm Muslim and I don't understand how you feel more free when you're naked. And I posted this photo of me where I am, you can't really tell, it looks very artistic, but I'm running and jumping on the beach and I don't have any clothes on, but you really can't see anything.
Right.
Um, and so I was trying to express that, like, in this photo, there was no other way that I could explain that it's like I'm literally in my natural state near the ocean, in this like picturesque kind of, I mean, I don't know, it was like a dream, as
Yeah.
just, when do you get to be that free? So for me, that is freedom. And obviously if there were like people around, I wouldn't do that out of respect for them, but it was, a private beach, I'm running, jumping, it felt good to me. And knowing that in the photo jumping, it was kind of covering up things that
Yeah.
it didn't look sexual to me. And so I mean, if you look back at art artists, for
Yeah.
centuries and centuries and centuries, it's like there's always been
Go to the
nudity.
Getty Museum,
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like, come on. So I just think that there still is judgment. It's but I need to get over it.
And I guess I look at it and go, Gabby Reese?
Mm-hmm.
I had her on my show. She was voted the fifth most beautiful person at the time. Yeah, when she was in her 20s and playing volleyball and all that, and she posed for Playboy.
I guess,
And no one thinks of her as anything but a
that's
badass.
true. I mean, she is a badass. She is
She is.
someone that I want to have on my show. So I think I told you before that I met her.
Hmm.
I was renting a place from someone in Malibu, and I had the chance to meet her. And we both went to Florida State.
Yeah.
She's a badass.
Yeah. But and she posed naked and
That's true.
so I mean I guess and I've had several models. I've had some exotic dancers. I've had some adult movie stars on my show, and I don't know. It's just
I think it's here. This is the
yeah.
problem. So I'm still working on that. I still am building the trust in myself. And if I continue to remind myself that there was nothing wrong with it, here's where I have to be honest. When I did post for Playboy, I was very, very, very insecure.
Right.
I was in a bad relationship. It was mentally, sometimes physically abusive. I didn't feel like I was enough. And when I posed for Playboy, I thought that was sort of the validation to
But
say you were good enough. But even still, then I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now. I was 25 and I felt so old, and I felt, it's
yeah.
crazy to me. I look now because I was much older. They ideally, and they did tell me actually, some of the butlers that were there at the mansion when I was staying there, they're like, they're not gonna pick you to be a playmate because
You're too old.
you're too tall, you look like a model, and you're older. They want people that look like little girls. And I'm never enough. I'm
Yeah.
never enough. It was like, and it's like these moments kept happening to me where I'm glad that they did, because
Worked
it
out.
was a detour that made me switch and switch and switch and switch. Like, I actually have a children's book that I have been working on, which I don't know why I just don't finish it. It's already done basically, but it's called Almost Autumn, and it's
Should have it come out in August
right.
when it's almost autumn.
Almost Autumn. Well, it's about just not being enough, but accomplishing so many things. And then by the end of the book, she's standing on top of this mountain of things that she's done throughout her little life. And she's like, wow, like look at all these things that I've done. You know, it's like I didn't just win that race or win that spelling bee or read that book or, you know, whatever. It's like I did all of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it has continued throughout my adult life that it's,
So why haven't you finished the book? Or, I mean, you said it's finished. Does it just matter of publishing it, or?
yeah, I guess it's publishing it. I really want to do it right. My book on Amazon is a paperback and um, it translates fine.
Yeah.
I make like 30 cents off each book because I wanted it, everything I do, I want it to be good quality.
Yeah.
So I opted for the best paper for color because I wanted to celebrate my illustrator. And yeah, so basically, yeah, I make no money off of them, but I'm proud of it. And it's, you know,
So
that
I'm trying to think. I've met many people that have written books on the show. Many. They all say you don't write books to make money.
to get rich. No, you don't write a book.
Nobody's making money.
But with a children's book, I really want to make it something that a child's going to fall in love with. And
Yeah.
so it's going to take more, a little more finesse. It's like, I'm going to need a budget. My budget is going into different directions right now. But if I'm going to do a children's book that I want to, you know, parents to want to read it to their children, I want children to be excited, you know, so it really has to be done well. And like Reese Witherspoon just came out with a book that kind of reminds me of the goal that I have for this children's book. And so I want it to be, you know, something where a child is going to want to read it and actually get that feeling that I'm trying to tell. Like I want them to see the story. I want them to be like, oh, this is okay that maybe I can't read because I can do this really well.
Yeah.
And so because I had a learning disability when I was little, and so maybe if I had had a book that was about that, and you know, about just being good at something else, and then maybe not being good at this but almost doing this, like it might have inspired me to, you know, just
then reach out to Reese and have her on your show.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm 6 episodes in.
Doesn't matter. I mean, is she going to say yes? Probably not. But I mean, I said that about literally almost every guest I've ever had on my show.
Some really cool guests. So, I mean, you are inspiring me that it's possible. So,
if you would have told me 4 years ago who I've had on the show, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way.
Well, maybe when I'm a veteran like you, then we'll be back on a podcast together, and we'll talk about all of our accomplishments with that. Yeah, I mean, I have a couple. Like I said, I have a guy from American Idol, super talented. He's going to be on the show recording next week, and then I have someone else that's going to be on the show. We haven't committed to a date.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to wait. But
I've had a couple where I talked to some friends about who said if everybody that said yes to being on the show actually was on the show, it'd be crazy. I've had some like phenomenal people say, "Yeah, I'd love to do your show." I'm like, "Oh my God, really?" And then they don't.
Okay, well, I'll be prepared for that. It is. I mean, this industry is tricky. I mean, there's a lot of fluff.
And I'll tell you, of all the people, Gabby Reese was one of the most phenomenal people. I reached out to her. She sent me a voice message back saying, "Yeah, I'd love to do the show, and I'll have my assistant get in touch, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm like, okay. We did the show the next week.
That's amazing.
Like she was, and I read about her saying, how do you, because a lot of people have a hard time scheduling their time and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, but if you commit to something, you do it.
Yeah.
You never back out of something. If you agreed to do it, you do it. You know, and then the next time you tell yourself, don't schedule something like that. If you know,
Exactly.
But
That's where that feeling of, did this feel right to me or did
yeah,
it not feel right to me? But I'm like that. If I say I'm gonna come, I'm coming. I'm
but
like I may not even like, I may be looking disheveled. I don't know. I'm gonna be there. And then you're right. The next time I'm like, that didn't,
I'm not. I gotta say no to that.
yeah.
Exactly.
And like, because I was dreading that so bad, or this gave me such bad anxiety. Like, no, next time I'm not going.
I say that every time I schedule something like for downtown, like in Hollywood, and I'm like, and I go, oh, that'd be fun, and we go, and I'm like,
Yeah, when it's
hour and
downtown,
a half,
I'm like,
$40 for
why?
parking.
Why did I do this downtown? I'm like, I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
lost. Yeah, it's just knowing yourself. So, do you have any more travel? Are you back to Hawaii for work, or what's going on with that?
A lot of my a lot of my stores closed up in Hawaii
Oh, really?
during COVID. They went out of business.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, I mean, you couldn't
Yeah,
be a tourist.
I
And
I
then
went as soon as they opened.
I went in April. Last April. They opened in March, end of March, and we went in April.
I don't remember when I went. It was when I did the shark diving.
Yeah. We did the manta ray swim, where you get to swim with the manta rays and all that. But
I want to go back and do something like that.
we went last year in April. I don't need to go back. I mean, I could do. I have 2 stores left now.
Oh, wow.
I had 2 stores in Maui close up. I had my store in Oahu close up, and my store in the Big Island close up.
Okay.
So that sucked.
Well, yeah, that's a bummer for
Yeah.
them, for you.
Yeah, I'll be going to Dallas again. I got to go to Dallas. I'm going to Vegas again, and then I'll make my Northern California trips. So.
Yeah, I think the only trip I have planned.
Oh, I'm going to Nashville next month.
Oh, that's a, so they have a Soho House in Nashville, and I want to go and check it out.
You've been to Nashville?
Never been to
Oh, you
Nashville.
have a blast.
Yeah, I really want to go. So it's
I'm going to be a grandpa in 3 weeks. So and my daughter lives in Knoxville, so I'm going to fly. We're going to Wendy and I are going to fly in and then drive over and see the grandbaby.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
Well,
So,
congratulations. Do you know if a boy or a girl? Girl.
Yep. So I was blessed with 2 daughters, and now I got a granddaughter coming.
This is your first grandbaby.
Heck yeah.
Well,
pretty incredible.
I'm not going to try to, we won't even go down the whole thing of cord blood, but that's my other job that I do.
Of what?
Yeah, with so anytime someone's having a baby,
Yeah.
they will, when you cut the cord, you have the chance to either throw it in the trash and discard it, or you cryogenically freeze it it treats over 80 life-threatening diseases. So that's what I've been doing for the last 11 years. That's what I call my big girl cord job. But yeah, so if
we'll have to talk about that offline. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Let me know, because I can offer
just information. Just send it to me, and I'll send it to her.
Okay. Hopefully she already knows. Most physicians will educate on it, but yeah.
I don't know about in Tennessee though.
That's another one of my things that, but it goes hand in hand with, it's like, they have trials for autism, cerebral palsy. So it all just kind of goes along with mental health, I guess. So, but yeah.
How do you think, I'm trying to think back, I'm a little older than you, but mental health wasn't talked about. I'm talking my teens, my 20s, my 30s. I mean, I had friends commit suicide, and I had, things and trauma happened and all that. No one talked about it.
Nobody.
And now it's everywhere, and it's still not enough.
I think it's going to round itself out, because what happened was no one was talking about it. I was ahead of the curve with sharing how I was actually feeling, what was going on in my life, and showing, like, say, a modeling photo for a commercial where I look so happy and smiling. And then I would show, this is what's really going on. But then it got popular. So when something becomes more of a fad, you lose the meaning of it. And so that's why I don't think we're seeing the meat of it, where it's like actually helping as much. It is.
I gotcha.
I feel like we've made some strides. But it was a huge shock when Twitch committed suicide. Um, and Ellen, I feel like she she probably has a big opportunity to talk about it, but when you're affected by something like that so closely,
Yeah.
then you start to maybe push away from it, and maybe there's a sense of like, or probably not, maybe almost everyone has that, how did I not know,
Yeah.
or it's
Yeah.
like, and you feel guilty. And so that situation just shows that there is still so much work to do. But even for myself, I felt a sense of guilt, even though, of course, I have no access to him. But I felt like, did anybody talk to him about this IV ketamine? Did he
Mhm.
know that this was an option? Um, because for me, it's like, uh, I think we're talking about it, but it really did just become like this, like, I'm dating now, and I see like people's like profiles, or even on Instagram and things like that. So I'm looking around, and people will be like, mental health advocate, la la la. And it's just like, it's basically might as well be an influencer now. And so
Yeah, that sucks.
I I think that it's great to have the exposure, but we have to have quality. It's everything, it's like quality over quantity, and the messages that we're putting out there, that's what's most important. And so it's not just love yourself, I can buy myself flowers, and these things are great. They are. It's a start, but that's not what loving yourself is. It's loving yourself is choosing the things that maybe are not the easiest, but they're the healthiest.
Right.
And that's mentally, physically, emotionally. And so I, I had to do that with leaving a relationship that I thought I would spend the rest of my life with this person. And I just had to really make a tough decision and say, this just, it's keeping me sick. And so, it's like, you, like, I mean, I'm such a great example of just like living, breathing mental health. But even though I had healed myself,
On
I
some things. Yeah.
still staying in something that was like constantly just, it was like drinking and driving or something. It was like, I know how to drive a car really well, but if I'm drinking, I don't know how to drive the car. I can't
Yeah.
drive the car. And so it's kind of what was happening in my life. I was like, oh, my mental health is great now. I've got this. And then I'm like, let me go back to this relationship and
Yeah.
like just get drunk off of this, and then
And forget how to drive.
let's screw up my life. So yeah, I think it's the message that we are sending, and it's the
Yeah.
example that we're setting. Uh, so I think it's going to come around. I think mental health will continue to be a topic, and I think we will fine tune how we talk about it, and it won't be as popular anymore. So then we'll just be getting maybe more of the direct, quality kind of messaging.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I hope so, because I mean, a person I used to work with at my job just committed suicide 3 weeks ago, and then on Valentine's Day, a lady two blocks down, 2 units down, ran her car into a wall, committed suicide on Valentine's Day. Like,
I,
oh my God.
it doesn't help that we're under a lot of financial pressures right now. I think a lot of people were also affected by COVID. Um,
Yeah.
you know, so I mean, it's still very real. I mean, it's happening every day, and I mean, luckily, I haven't experienced it in a very long time. It was something that I experienced as a 7-year-old. So Um, I, I mean, it's the reason why I do what I do.
Yeah.
So, and trying to get that message out there, like that there is hope. You know, I used to think that I would spend the rest of my life just treating my depression and didn't think that there was a cure because we don't talk about the fact that there's a cure. I literally thought at
He's gonna be with
what
you forever.
forever, but the other thought that I had was I'm I know I'll do it one day. I know I'll commit suicide one day. Just
Wow.
when? When is it going to be enough? When is someone going to leave me and abandon me and it's going to be too much? You know, it was like even choosing to be in a relationship, whether the person was good or bad, it was a place of I was so unwell that if they were to cheat and leave me or die and leave me, abandon me in any way, that I thought, yeah, it's going to happen, you know. So the fact that I thought that way and now literally have cured my PTSD, cured my depression, cured my anxiety, and can't even imagine thinking that way. And
That's
no,
kind of what you talked about on this last episode you did.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's really incredible. And so as I continue to talk about it, because I've been a little quiet lately, because I'm getting better at setting boundaries. I'm 6 months out of a relationship. It's been really, it's been a journey. Like it'll be weeks and then all of a sudden, boom, I'll start crying again. And I'm like, ooh, like I thought that was gone.
Yeah, that's not
And yeah, and so it's such a process of, learning about myself and knowing what I feel comfortable to share and what I don't want to share at the
yeah.
time. I have a feeling in about 6 more months, I'm going to be able to just go full force into being like 100% authentic about it and just knowing that I've gotten through it and being able to speak on it from a different perspective. Right now it still feels like a little too close to home to me.
Right.
But it was a great uh I guess a great test to my mental health to go through that and to fall, hit rock bottom, and then be able to just quickly climb back up. It was a testament to the work I've really done and the fact that I'm like, yep, you
I'm here, but I got to get up.
you're but I'm healed, It was like I don't have this anymore, because I was terrified. Am I going to have to get on antidepressants? Am I going to need more treatments? Was that just a fluke? Was I just happy because he and I were back together and that's why I didn't need the medication, or that's why I wasn't depressed? That's why I didn't, well, I had anxiety. That was for them.
Was a different reason.
But, so it was this scary thought of like, was I lying to myself? And was I really healed? And then to like, boom, just kind of fall and then look up and be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
I thought I really am cured. It's just, and this is my new life, and just get ready. And every single day it gets better and better and better. And even when I fall, even that is still better because when I get back up, I'm proud of myself. Like
Yeah.
it's so easy to get back up. It's kind of like, I'm scared of skating. Oh, here's my little pup. Hi, little pup. You want to say hi to everybody? Oh,
Hello.
hi. Okay. We just did a commercial together.
Wow.
Yes, for Num Nums. Yes, we did. Yeah, Num Nums.
What are you doing?
um, uh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, skating.
Yeah.
So skating is really hard. And I'm terrified to fall because I'm not good at skating, and I'm like,
You're pretty good at skating. You're better than you think you are. It's just like a lot of things in life.
but I haven't
I thought
really,
you were bad. And then I saw your video. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm not, so I'm afraid of getting hurt.
Yeah.
If I had
Well,
fallen,
that's different.
yeah, but it's like you've fallen, you know what it's like to fall, and you're like, okay, well, I get up and I do it, and you just keep doing it. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like that, I guess, where if you've never fallen and hurt yourself before, the anticipation that like something really bad can happen. I'm not getting in the
Yeah.
I'm
But
not doing any tricks or anything. I just want to be able to like cruise.
and you can, it's interesting because I never thought about it. I mean, I've been crashing since I was like 6, 7 years old. I started playing football at 7. Like, oh my God, the things I did to my mom, I'm so sorry for doing. My parents, my mom used to joke that they were going to name part of the hospital after me because I was
There's
literally.
still time. There's still time.
Oh,
No,
I had
parents, they did not let me do anything.
I was 11 years old and I came running home. I was playing basketball in my friend's driveway, and just the desire to win at all costs was even at back then, right? So I dove for a ball to save it from going out of bounds. But then when I slid, I slid into the rose bush, and the rose bush came and just sliced open the top of my head.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Oof.
unfortunately, the top of your head bleeds a lot.
Yeah.
So I walk home. I get, I don't remember running, but I remember getting home just like this, and just blood just drained over my head.
Gosh.
My mom was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "It's not bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's just bleeding a lot."
See, I had the opposite. I didn't play sports. I was very sheltered.
Yeah.
My mom was always telling me, like, you're going to get eaten by a shark. You're going to drown. You're going to get kidnapped.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt yourself. And so I didn't try anything.
See, Wendy's the same way.
And so I really lived this life of just, like a little bubble life. And so I was terrified to, that is why I learned at 30 to snowboard. I went, diving with sharks, a couple years ago, just because I thought, well, I'm tired of being scared.
Yeah.
So
we're going skating is what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess so. Wendy's been great because she told me, she's like, get your elbow pads, get your helmet, just get your pads. So I feel like if I have pads,
Yeah, I put them back on now. I started skating without them. Not in the skate park. Skate parks, I'm fully padded up, but I wear my knee pads now when I'm on the strand because I've fallen twice and blew up my knees, and I'm too old. So I need.
Well,
my
that's
knees.
the thing is when you get older, because I do have knee problems. I'm like, this is my, like, if I bust my knee, I mean, that's a big deal. So like, no.
So just wear the pads. You'll be fine. You're a rock star.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do it, especially when it gets warm.
Warmer. Yeah.
There's snow caps on the mountains over here.
It's supposed to rain tomorrow.
It's gonna rain
and Saturday and next week.
All next week.
Yeah.
I don't know if Cali is or SoCal is SoCal anymore.
It'll come back, but it's been weird. Been cold, rainy. Yeah. Snowing.
Hailing.
My friend was at Disneyland a week ago, and it snowed while they were at Disneyland.
I mean,
like I got the video of him, and it's like snow's coming down in his hands. I'm like, what's going on?
It's crazy. Wow.
We'll have to move to a warmer place.
Yeah, we might have to move to Florida. I might have to go back to Florida. I don't know about that, but my
It's
mom
warm there. It's warm there.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Enjoy.
It's been great, and yeah, I love that we got to catch up again. And
yeah.
When was the last one? 2 years ago.
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, we had the one that.
It was just on. We didn't do video though. We just did over the phone.
The first one, yeah, because you had just done the Pretty Depressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was like right after COVID. I mean, I guess COVID was still happening.
Yeah, I think it was. But then we did the other episode that shan't be named.
Yeah.
We had way too many technical issues. Like that. In other words, it was freezing. The Wi-Fi wasn't working out for us.
Yeah. No, that was not working out.
So what's the how do you want my listeners to follow what you got going on?
Okay, so
go down the list.
All right. Follow me on Autumn Adele's. That's my Instagram. It's just Autumn Adele with an S. And then Pretty Badass Podcast.
Yeah.
I have it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and most of it, if you just go to my main page, you can click and find it. But the Pretty Badass Podcast and Autumn Adele's, that's where you'll find me.
There we go. Easy enough.
Yeah. So, and if you want to pick up the book is linked.
Pretty Depressed.
There,
yeah.
Pretty Depressed book is linked, and then stay tuned for wellness gummies that are everything.
Everything.
And also my Paris travel book. So.
When do you think that'll come out? And
I'm
then the kids
hoping
book
in
too.
the next few months.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like it to be sooner, but I'm co-writing it. I asked my girlfriend if she wanted to write with me.
Nice.
She has some knowledge on Paris and travel and stuff like that. And so I like to share the fun and things, but it's hard to motivate two people to do something. So I'm basically writing and I'm like, if what you're doing fits in here, let's go for it. And I'm one of these people, like, when I say I want to do something, I want to get it done. Like, I just started the vitamin business. My client mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Once I got the information, I got the manufacturers and I got all this stuff. Like, he was like, I can't even believe how fast you are. Like, I was like, well, if I believe in something, I want to do it. So I've already, I mean, it's happening.
Pretty badass.
The vitamins may come out before the book.
Wow.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
because the book is 100% relied upon you, where and your co-writer. Whereas the gummies, there are people already making things that you're just trying to get into that process.
Well, I think because they're experts and so it's me just saying this is how I want this done. This is what I feel will be a new beauty brain body product that we need. That's easier for me to do than it's like the book it's a baby, it's like it takes this love and just there's lots of things and I'm like, yeah, but I want it to be perfect. I want people to feel this about it, or I want it to look like this. And so I don't know. I think it's coming. It's coming. So there's
all that matters.
But yeah, it's all I'm planting the seeds.
There you go. And I'll make sure to have all the links on my website, all the new link, because I did the book last time, but I'll make sure to add the podcast info on there. So
well, thank you.
One-stop shop.
And always a pleasure. Thank you. And we're gonna do skating when the weather's warmer.
I'm gonna have to kind of give you a hard time about it if you don't.
I keep saying I'm gonna do it, but you heard me. I said if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it, even if I'm kicking and screaming.
I hate doing this, but I think I can get Wendy to let you borrow some pads.
Okay. I mean, I need to just get some anyway, because I do want to start doing it again in the summer. So I'll just order.
Summer's the best time.
Yeah. It's so easy to order pads and things like that. I'm not going to promote the A place because I feel like they get enough promotion.
I'm with you on that.
Local.
We do too. I'll send you the links that I'll have her send you the links.
Okay.
There's a couple skate shops that she buys directly from. So there's no A place that you have to go through.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, A place is super easy, but monopolizing everything. So
I hear you. We'll get going. Well, thanks again, Autumn.
And tell Wendy I said hi.
Of course.
I'll see you guys soon.
You got a deal.
the boardwalk or the Strand or wherever we're going.
You could
See
show
you
us
at the beach.
you got to show us your backwards skating.
Backwards.
Yeah.
I know how to do it in theory. It's more like being afraid to fall, but or if there's people around, that's what's scary. It's like
Both the times I've crashed really hard have been in front of a lot of people.
well, it's not about falling in front of people. It's that they get in my way or
That's why. One time I went to avoid them and I did a big crossover because I was right in Hermosa, and so I just made this big swoop and my skates caught. Oh, smacked my knee.
Ugh, yeah.
But it was that or hit the lady. So
I would hit the lady then.
no, you could do that. I get in trouble for doing it.
I mean, I probably wouldn't hit the lady, but I would like to think that maybe she would just hug me to save me.
No, they
I'll
would
be
go
like,
like
save me.
they go like this. What are you doing? And then you just slide down and crash anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
So we'll go on a slow day.
Yeah, please, a slow day. Thing. Well, nice chatting with you,
Yep.
and I'm really glad that we did this again.
Thanks so
And
much.
keep
Appreciate
up work.
it. See you later, Autumn.